Alright guys, this is the one where I take the L. When I first saw the trailers for this game, I thought it looked like a fairly generic open world action game with stealth elements that have been all too common in the past few years. Especially since right before this game came out, I was dredging through the depths that was Assassin's Creed Odyssey for what must have felt like hundreds of hours. I was just burnt out of this style of game. But when I sat down to actually play it, I realized that this game doesn't even come close to generic. This is probably one of the best games of its genre, definitely one of the best games of the PS4. What a farewell to the PS4 generation. I've never been one for samurai stories, but I've always loved the aesthetic of a feudal Japan and warriors who settle their differences with the strike of a blade. If you're telling me that samurai movies are anything like this, I have a lot of catching up to do. This game is just oozing with life and personality that bleeds through the story at every drop. Drop of a plot point, drop of lore, drop of blood. This game keeps on giving and I could not get enough. I platinumed this game as soon as I could. This is one of those games where I was just letting it sit there. I wanted a second playthrough really bad, but I knew on a second playthrough I would not appreciate it as much as I should because I just finished it. I thought when they announced the next gen update for PS5 that this would be my chance to dive back in and re-platinum it, as the game deserves. But life got in the way and I just never had the money or the time. But since Sucker Punch Studios announced the next game in the series, Ghost of Yotei, I knew this was finally my time. I've forgotten a decent bit of the game over the past 5 years. The only thing I really remember is how much I liked it and one specific scene that just filled me with glee. It's time that I finally go back into the battlefield. You and I will ride our horses into war as we platinum Ghost of Tsushima. This game is such a turn from Sucker Punch's usual affray they've been in lately. Like the whiplash you get going from Spyro to Infamous, you're sitting here with a stick neff going from Infamous to Ghost. The combat in this game has this unique style of thinking where you have to consider each enemy you're fighting before you take them on. Fairly quickly in the game, they introduce you to the different sword styles you can use and they teach you that each enemy has a certain style that's more effective towards it. But that's not how this game starts off. The game starts off throwing you against just one enemy type so you can learn how to use your first style, what I thought was going to be the only way to fight. You feel strong and badass as the honorable samurai you are, just mowing through this field of Mongols. You see your fellow warriors dropping at an alarming rate. It's made pretty clear that the Mongols are a force to be reckoned with, but there's nothing they can do to stop you. Then when you finally get to the castle to defend your island and kill their leader once and for all, you realize that there's something different about him. Something that separates him from every enemy whose blood stains your blade. He's got a spear. Not a big change, I know, I was thinking the same thing, but the way I got my ass handed to me. When I first played it, I didn't even put up a fight. I tried my best in this last playthrough, but my inexperience got me again and my ass was sent sailing off the bridge. The beauty of this was that it was the introduction to different enemy types. You didn't lose because you suck. You lost because you were fighting him like an average swordsman and using that stance. Even later on as you play, you come across enemies with shields and spears and they're noticeably more difficult to stagger than someone with a shield. If you haven't gotten good at parrying, you're gonna struggle with these types. Then once you observe or kill your first Mongol leader, the game tells you that there's a better way to fight. The more leaders you watch and kill, the more about different styles you learn and the easier you can kill each enemy. The game doesn't necessarily give you more moves to take these guys down. It's the same button combinations, but it's knowing what style you need and switching between them as you're fighting a horde of enemies that keeps the gameplay fresh and each fight invigorating. I like how Jin learning the styles by observing ties into the story of becoming the Ghost. In this story, you play as Jin Sakai, the nephew of the leader of the samurais of Tsushima, their Jito, and a pretty prolific samurai himself. After the prologue we just talked about where you are eviscerated by the Khan and left for dead, again, you set off to build a new army to take on the Khan and to save your imprisoned uncle from where?
At Castle Canada.
Oh, Canada's kind of far from Japan, but okay. You start off by trying to recruit the few remaining trained civilians to join you in your cause, while helping them with their own plot lines in return. But it's clear that these two old friends you call on won't be enough to help you take the island back, so you enlist in the help of the thief that rescued you during the battle, Yuna. As this beginning act of the story progresses, Jin learns that he's a master of all he's been taught as a samurai, but that won't be enough to repel the Khan's invasion, so he has to resort to tactics that some would consider dirty, even dishonorable. This style mechanic works in tandem with the overall story because Jin has basically been taught to fight only one way with his one weapon, the sword. He's only been trained to fight other swordsmen because that's how the samurai fight. As the Mongols have brought their tactics into his land, he has to study how they fight in order to come up with a plan to best counter these new tactics. The parry in this game is also really well done. It feels so gratifying as hell to be slicing up one enemy and then parrying another one coming at you at the last minute, then start dicing him up. This is probably the game that made me start to like parrying. I used to be so much more of a blocker when I was younger, but now I love a good parry mechanic in a game. Both of these are used in tandem to drain an enemy's stamina bar to open them up for attacks. As long as an enemy has stamina, they'll basically be blocking your attacks and won't do any damage. Parrying an enemy can greatly reduce it or even drain it altogether. When you're using an ineffective stance against a certain enemy type, it'll drain at a much slower rate. It's very noticeable when you're using the wrong stance. Once you switch to the right one, you're knocking these enemies on their asses with relative ease. Since Jin was raised to be a samurai, he learned that the honorable thing to do is to face an opponent head on and kill them with dignity. But the right way to do things isn't always the best way. That's why this game features stealth. And you guys know I love a game that offers variety and player choice in the way to tackle a challenge. Besides a few story missions here or a couple of side missions there, any mission you embark on can be played with either head-on combat where you call out and challenge the enemies in a camp, or you can sneak in and try to take out each enemy before they know you're there. And stealth isn't some half-baked mechanic added in the game as an alternate playstyle. It's as thought out as the combat mechanic, maybe even more so since the story is all about learning new ways to take down what seems like an impossible foe. Not only can you just sneak around and kill people while their backs are facing you, but by leveling up and completing story missions, you start to unlock new tools that help each kind of playstyle you want to go through. For stealth, you unlock new items that can distract enemies so you can either sneak by or sneak up on them, or different ways to kill the Mongols without giving away your position. Whereas for combat, you can unlock new weapons to either stagger or kill Mongols without having to get up close and personal with them. They work best when there's a group of enemies coming at you and you either don't have the right stance unlocked yet, or you know you can't take on that many enemies alone. You use these new tools to kind of even the odds and take them all down a peg to make it easier on yourself. It gets to the point to where in the last act of the game, I could potentially take out 8 enemies in about 10 seconds. You could clear some of these Mongol camps no issue, which is helpful when you're trying to clear all the points of interest in the maps. One thing I almost forgot to mention is the way this game tries to tackle immersion. Instead of having a mini-map, an in-game compass, or waypoints always on your screen telling you where to go, the game uses this fairly unique mechanic they call the guiding wind. This is basically a way to show you where you need to go without cluttering up the screen with icons. If you pay attention to the flora and the fauna, they can show you which way the wind is blowing, and that is the way to your destination. If you're having trouble seeing which way the wind is blowing, you could always swipe up on the touchpad so a gust of wind comes through, making it easier to see which way you have to go. It's a nice detail that most might find unnecessary, but it helps not cover up this beautiful environment that Sucker Punch has created. Never, in my opinion, has there been a more beautiful rendition of an open area than there is in Tsushima. The game is just graphically beautiful and makes many points in the game where you can just stand on a cliff and admire the view. The attention to detail that was put into this world is just unreal. From the small towns you can visit to how the open land is laid out. As you travel through the island, if you keep your eyes out, you can always see signs of a point of interest that needs your attention. It's simple things too, like following these archways you can find that eventually might lead to a shrine, or those fireflies in the distance that denote things like fox dens. Or maybe while you're riding your horse through the countryside, you might see a little yellow bird fly down in front of you chirping, ready to lead you to some new activity for you to do. This game is all about trying to immerse you in its beautiful environment and taking down any roadblocks that might take you out of it. One of my favorite things to do when entering a new area was to just ride my horse around, seeing what I might encounter. Maybe I'll find a hot spring to refresh myself in. Maybe I'll find a nice spot to look out into the horizon and write a little haiku. Maybe I'll just find some people in need of assistance. Spoilers. This is a game where it's a little hard for it to feel repetitive. It has a handful of different side activities and collectibles, but most of them are very quick and easy to do, so it never really feels like a chore. The closest thing that can come to it is the Mongol camps, but the combat in this game is so fun and can be sped up if you really want to, so that it doesn't feel like it drags on. Plus it helps that these side activities always feel like they have a lore reason to be here. A lot of games have side quests which feel like a distraction to the main story, but these side quests always makes the Mongol invasion feel more present. Every character you interact with has been affected in some way. Even the collectibles usually can find a way to contribute to the fight. You need to be well rested to fight the Mongols, so you visit a hot spring to rest and relax. You hear tell of a mythical strike that can kill an enemy in one hit, so you go find it because it can help you save your uncle. It doesn't detract from how urgent the story is. Games like Fallout 4, don't get me wrong, I love Fallout 4. But you're looking for your kidnapped son. There's no time to lose. He could be dead, and instead I'm running errands and building a farm. It's the kind of story that feels like it has some urgency to it, yet he's running around doing fetch quests, exploring abandoned buildings, and making little bases for himself all throughout Massachusetts. This game doesn't really face that issue. Everything you do relates to your duties as a samurai. You have to protect civilians from aggressors, investigate crimes, or kill invaders and traitors. Plus, a lot of times people will just see you on the side of the road and try to kill you. This is a good way to recharge your resolve with a good standoff. A great strategy for this is to kill 3 guys with the standoff and then just knock the rest off with a couple of headshots. For years, I've been hearing people say that they want an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, and I've been right along with them on this. It's an interesting time in history with a great setting and great opportunities for the Templars to fuck shit up so the assassins have to come in and fix it. But honestly, this game has filled my need for that. The gameplay style of this game mirrors the newer Assassin's Creed games, but does it better. The combat in Assassin's Creed has never been a highlight, so it's not so much of a surprise that we have a better combat system here, but the big one is how much more fun the stealth is in this game than in the mainline Assassin's Creed titles. In Origins and Odyssey, the stealth always felt like it took a back seat to the open world, and this game even does that better too. The world is the perfect size for what it needs to do. It's not so big that each point of interest feels too spread out, so it feels like you're traveling for tens of minutes just to get there. It also doesn't feel like it's bloated with pointless busy work to try to justify the size of the map and to add some hours to your playtime. Nothing in this game makes me feel like I'm just wasting my time. All of the side activities are fairly quick, and none of them are too far away from each other that it feels like a journey to get there. They're close enough that while you're running to one or to a main mission marker, you'll usually see the gold bird come down because you're also close to another one. The game doesn't feel like it's trying to justify the decisions it makes. It shows you why these choices were the best to make for your experience. A good game isn't a bloated one, neither is it one starved for content. Luckily, Ghosts avoids any of the negative pitfalls that a lot of open world games succumb to, and that's why it's one of the best games in the genre. As always, I'm not going to cover the trophies you get automatically through the story, or the ones it's almost guaranteed you'll unlock just by beating the game. I get you can probably technically beat the game without staggering 50 enemies, but you'd probably have to go out of your way to do it. The ones I'm thinking of are where I could realistically see someone not getting it by accident, or the ones I just want to talk about. Taking a quick look at the list, none of these really look too hard. There's no difficulty related trophies, so you could probably go through the game on easy if you wanted to. It also looks like there are no missable trophies, so you can get them all in one playthrough. With these in mind, let's get into it. There are 4 different types of quests in this game. We're gonna skip the obvious one of the main story quests and get into the area of side quests because they all have trophies tied to them. The first one I want to bring up are what I'm gonna call friend tales. Like I mentioned earlier, as you progress through the game, you meet new allies that Jin recruits to help him in his personal quests in exchange for helping them with their own plot lines. These aren't just one-off missions where you help them fix a toilet or find their lost spoon. These are long-form quests that can take you throughout the entire game. You can see in the quest log they're labeled as 1 out of however many there are, and you'll reach a certain point where you still have maybe 5 quests left, but they aren't popping up. When this happens, all it means is you still have to progress through the story to get to the next area. This game does its best to justify this, but to me, it feels like a way to pace out these missions so you don't go through an entire quest line at once and maybe overlevel yourself too much. Take Sensei Ishikawa for example. His quest is all about hunting down his former student Tomoe, who is now training the Mongols in the art of Japanese archery. As far as I remember, it's never said that either she or Ishikawa move to the next area until you unlock it in the next act. The sensei just says, "We need to keep hunting her."
We must keep hunting her.
And you just understand that this means she's gone for a bit. There's no real reason for it, she could still be in the first area. They just want to have the quest extend into the next section. Once you complete all these tales, you'll unlock the Unbending Archer, the Vengeful Warrior, the Warrior Monk, and the Headstrong Thief. Moving on to the next type of side quest you'll encounter in the game, these are called the Mythical Tales. There are a total of 7 of these. You'll find these quests by visiting different towns or settlements in the game. There'll usually be someone sitting around waiting for you to walk by before they start talking. Sometimes they'll call out to you to get your attention. They all have this blue marker above their head and it'll get added to your map so you can't miss them. Most of them unlock new armor for you that I barely use. The best ones are the tales that unlock new attacks or ghost weapons for you. These add to the gameplay more than just armor does, especially when, by by the point you've unlocked most of the armor for the tails, you probably already have your preferred playstyle and you'll have a loadout to reflect that. These tails also change up the gameplay because a few of them won't just have you run from waypoint to waypoint to complete it, but will give you a general area on the map and you either have a description of what you're looking for or a drawing that you have to use to track down the location. The first one I did, the Heavenly Strike, did this where you had to run around and follow a trail of white flowers. When I first played through the game, I didn't like these. I find it personally annoying when games intend for you to wander around hoping you'll run into what you're looking for. If I'm remembering correctly, I might have just looked up a video to show me where to go, but on this last playthrough I did, I found myself enjoying these quests a little more. I think it's because it was just a nice little break from the standard run to this waypoint and kill the enemy there. Now if the quests were just this, I don't think the lackluster reward of some type of armor I'm not going to use wouldn't be worth it. But most of these end with my favorite gameplay mechanics, which are the duels. There needs to be more of these in the game, as I'm sure you'll hear me say again. My least favorite mythical tales are the ones where I don't get to duel someone at the end. A little bit of a letdown. My favorite ones were the 6 Blades of Kojiro because it was nothing but duels. You have to track down 6 different Ronin who want to kill you and beat them in a duel. Once you do this, you'll be able to find Kojiro to finally challenge him and get his armor. This one was a lot of fun. I think I really enjoy the duels because you don't get your full moveset and you're relying a little more on your hand-eye skills and the select moves you have that use up some of your resolve. They aren't the easiest to spam or brute force your way through and they require you to think a little more. Very well done. I hope we get more of these in Yote. Speaking of duels really quick, if you complete all the duels the game has to offer, whether it's from story missions, side quests, or Mongol camps, you'll unlock the "There can be only one" trophy. Anyways, after you finish all 7 of these tales, you'll get the Teller of Tales trophy. The last kind of quest you'll have to deal with are the generic side quests that most games have. You'll just be walking down the side of a road and you'll either see a ruckus or someone will be calling out for you and they'll need your help with some bullshit. It'll usually be helping them find a missing family member or they need you to exact some kind of revenge for them. While the basic idea of these quests can be fairly generic, I do like the individual small plots of them. Some of them still stick in your mind after you finish. The 2 that I've always remembered were the lady who accidentally got her family killed and the woman who tricks you into stealing food for her.
Rice. I don't remember the last time I had rice.
You said they stole it from you.
Every time I think about this game, that line just pops up in my head. I'll stop talking about them here because some of them are really interesting and a lot of fun. I don't want to ruin them for you. After doing all these side activities and all the other tales we've talked about, you'll unlock the Helping Sword Hand trophy, and we'll be able to move on from dealing with side quests. The combat trophies in this game aren't too difficult and the game has ways to make them even easier. For example, the Flash of Steel trophy requires you to defeat an enemy with a counterattack 20 times. The way to do a counterattack is by unlocking the skill that allows for perfect parries, then find a group of thugs. When one goes to attack you, wait until right before he almost hits you, then tap the parry button and hit either square or triangle to do a counterattack. This isn't the hardest trophy, but it also isn't the easiest. This is one of the trophies that is almost entirely skill reliant, but you can also luck into it. I'm not the greatest with parrying. I can hit one almost every time, for the most part, but perfect parries are a different story. You can unlock and use charms that open the window for parries to make it easier, and I think it also makes getting a perfect one easier as well. I haven't really switched between charms to see if it opens a perfect parry window or not, but I figure better safe than sorry. I basically got this one by accident while playing, so I'm not sure how much luck was involved, but I can almost guarantee I missed more parries than got them perfect. If you try to grind this one, you may take a lot more hits than you're intending to, so I'd advise that you play normally. The thing you're looking for is when they swing, you see the weapon make a trail of white, like a motion blur. When you see that, that is when you should be parrying. There are a few different ways you can get the Witness Protection Trophy. There are different charms or equipment that can increase the likelihood of an enemy becoming terrified and running away, so just do whichever one comes naturally to you. The way I did it was by killing enemies in standoffs, because I love doing these. During the second act of the game, you can find Jin's family armor, which increases the amount of enemies you can kill in the standoff, and also increases the chances of terrifying a nearby enemy. So I just threw this on and went off looking for a group of enemies. Once you get one terrified, they'll start to run away. This is when you take aim and gun them down. Is it honorable? Is it rewarding? Absolutely. If you're going this route, you can also try to knock another trophy off the list, all in the wrist. This trophy requires you to kill the maximum number of enemies in a standoff. The way to go about this is to fully level up the Sakai armor and then unlock the 2 skills that extend your streak by 1 each so you can kill a maximum of 5 enemies in a single standoff. The standoffs are fairly easy to start. All you do is approach a group of enemies and a triangle prompt will appear for you to initiate a standoff. While they are fairly easy, there were times where I couldn't get the button prompt to appear. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but it mostly happened when approaching an enemy camp. Even when one of the special tasks was to kill someone in a standoff, I could never get it to start. Oh well. Now, while I said there are no missable trophies in the game, there are situational trophies that might be hard to replicate outside of certain areas. One of these trophies is Have a Nice Fall. Again, another one I got completely by accident while playing. This trophy requires you to knock an enemy off a ledge to their death. The last part makes this a little more difficult because it needs to be a decent height to kill them, so you need to find groups along cliffs or ledges and line them up so you can knock them off. Like I said, I didn't mean to get this one, I just thought it would be funny, so I'm going to show you where I got it because this was a story mission near the end of the game. This dude will always be here waiting for you to show up, so just do a run and shove at him to send him flying. The last of the combat related trophies I'm talking about is the Haunting Precision trophy. This one can't be done until near the end of Act 2 after you unlock the Ghost style. Now to activate the Ghost style, it requires you to kill 7 enemies without being hit. Then you can one hit kill 3 enemies before it wears off. If you wear your ghost armor, this cuts down the amount of enemies you have to kill to 5, which isn't a lot less, but it feels like it makes a difference when you're doing your best to not be hit. You have to use this style to kill 20 enemies, so it's going to take a little while depending on how good at the combat you are. My advice, use the standoffs to make a real dent into the kill count and kill the remaining with arrows. If there are less than 3 enemies left, don't use it. Wait until the next encounter. This is one I can see most people getting without even going for it. There's no reason you wouldn't want to use these 3 easy kills, especially when the game sets you up against huge groups in the later parts of the game. Even if you love the combat to death, it still gives you a quick second to breathe as enemies are coming at you from all sides. Skill tree trophies. These are almost impossible to miss if you're going for the platinum in this game. Even if you aren't, chances are you're gonna unlock them anyways because of how many skill points the game throws at you. And I mean every single thing you do in this game gives you XP to grow your legend, completing missions, killing enemies, grabbing collectibles. If the game hands you something to do, it's handing you a little XP to go along with it. It got to the point to where I maxed out my legend with plenty of game left to do. I was at ghost status before beating the story, let alone doing all the side activities. If you play normally, I doubt you'll miss it. It's a nice thing for the game to do because people who aren't hardcore gamers will still be able to use the full depth of combat that you probably would want to while going through the game at your own pace. You don't feel like you're forced to do activities you might find boring or repetitive, just unlock new moves for the part of the game you actually care about. However, once you reach the limit, you aren't getting any more. It can make progressing feel a little pointless if you aren't into some of the unlockables. It makes fighting the random Mongol or bandit you see on the side of the road feel almost pointless when you aren't getting rewarded for doing them anymore. Sure, it's fun, and I do enjoy the mindless slaughter, so there's that, but it always feels good to have everything I do feel like it benefits the character in some way. Like I'm actually progressing rather than just wasting time. For every trick in the book, you unlock each ghost weapon as you increase your legend, so as long as you're gaining XP, you're working towards this trophy. The only one you don't get automatically by leveling up is the firecrackers. You actually have to go into the menu and purchase the skill. What's funny about this way of gaining weapons is that you'll probably unlock a few before your character even starts drifting more towards the ghost persona and those tactics. I barely learned how to stealth kill someone before I was already using sticky bombs. The game does have a bit of a ludonarrative dissonance when it comes to establishing Jin as the ghost. You can still use these dirty tactics before he even starts going down that path. While you're going for these weapons, you'll undoubtedly reach the max legend of Ghost and become the Ghost of Legend. Aside from just leveling up skill points, you can also upgrade your weapons and armor. The most notable one is your sword, which you're gonna do anyways because why wouldn't you? Do you just want to make the game harder on yourself? The only annoying part about this is collecting the resources to upgrade it. They do a good job of spacing out the materials enough that you feel like you're taking the entire game to upgrade everything. I didn't fully max out my sword until the 3rd act, so it took me a while to get the perfect storm. If you don't care about your other weapons or armor, you'll get this one a lot sooner, but I chose what I felt reflected my playstyle more. Speaking of trophies you're probably going to get automatically anyways, as long as you go through each Mongol camp you'll encounter, you're going to unlock all of the styles and the associated trophy to go along with it. Finding undiscoverables. As you travel through Tsushima, you're gonna find the standard question marks on the map that it feels like a lot of video games these days use. These denote points of interest that you haven't discovered yet, what I refer to as undiscoverables. For a good chunk of this trophy list, you're gonna have to find all of these and complete whatever activity they want you to. They don't show up on the map automatically at the start of each area, as the map is covered in fog. You have to travel through the area and get vaguely close to them to see them on the map. Basically, uncover the fog that's over it. This is made easier by having the golden bird fly down near you and chirp. When you hear this sound, you know something is close, and you can always follow the bird to the location. And if you really can't be bothered by any of this, when you finish the act and move on to the next section of the island, you'll be able to see all the Mongol camps you haven't beaten yet. Once you complete all these in the area, the fog will just disappear and you'll see everything you need to. These undiscoverables can range from a variety of activities. You have hot springs, which add a little more to your maximum health. You have bamboo stands, which increase your maximum resolve. They can be fox dens, which lead you to shrines, and you can have haiku spots, which get you a neat little headband. All of these are squished together into one trophy: body, mind, and spirit. There are a few other trophies, but as long as you complete all of them, you'll get them no problem. So there isn't really any reason to talk about them individually. The only things I want to mention is that for Slay, you don't need all vanity gear, just 30 of them. So when the trophy pops, you can just quit. The same with Lost and Found. You only need to find one and you're done. You don't need all the records or artifacts, so if you miss some, no big deal. These are a couple things I wish I figured out beforehand because I spent a decent amount of time getting them all. It's funny because I have all this footage of me using the guiding winds to find each of these because I thought I was going to talk about having to track them all down. But no, didn't need it. I'm glad I 100%ed the game. It's fun and a worthy game for it. But I did ignore my wife a little more than I would have liked for these. While working towards clearing out the map, you'll also be getting the individual trophies for liberating each area of Tsushima. This is done by clearing out the Mongol camps I mentioned earlier. On the map, you can see the percentage of the areas liberated, so it's fairly easy to keep track of this. You're gonna pop a lot of trophies just doing this. Most of the camps just require you to kill all of the enemies in the vicinity, but some offer additional objectives like claiming the banners or blowing up their stockpile of gunpowder. These are usually marked as objectives, so the guiding wind will be able to show you where you need to go. After killing the last Mongol in the final camp, you'll be rewarded with Master Liberator, which is the better of the two similar names I'm usually called. This category is a little cheap, I know, but I couldn't think of anywhere else to put these trophies. Starting with one that's more than just an undiscoverable, it's an unseen. The Honor the Unseen trophy lives up to the name because there's no way to mark these on your map. I know what the game intends for you to do is to wander around the map and keep an eye out for signs which shows a man bowing. What you then have to do at the sign is stand fairly close to them and bow. You'll know that this hunk of wood deems your bow acceptable when something in the environment reacts. It could be flower petals flying through the air, or the most common one, fish jumping out of the water. I know this is the way the game intends me to do this, almost like it's a little reward for being extra diligent while exploring, but I don't have the time for that. I'm assuming you also don't, so I looked up a guide and I recommend that you do too. If you run across a couple of these while exploring, make sure to hit them up. All you have to do is bow and you have that unlocked from the start of the game. But when you reach the end of the game like I did and still haven't found any of these, it's time to swallow your pride and just look it up. I'm even showing you where some of them are so you can make a little note of where they are for when you play so you can cut down on your backtracking. Another one that's not marked on the map is the grave of a person. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as I can. Normally this isn't bad, but there's a trophy that requires you to play a certain song while standing at the grave. This usually wouldn't get much of a reaction out of me, especially after dealing with the signs. But there's a marker on the map that labels a grave. It's not the grave you need, oh no, they just decide to hide the one you need for the trophy. I fucked around a little too much at this false marker, trying my best to play the song only for nothing to happen. Here's where you really have to go. The song is something you'll also have to seek out. You don't start off with it. What you have to do is collect cages of crickets. As you come across various cemeteries in the game, you'll hear crickets chirping. Grab 5 of these cages and you'll unlock the Lament of the Storm to play at the gravesite and to unlock the trophy. The last trophy I feel like we need to cover is the Cooper Clan trophy. If you know Sucker Punch's track record, I feel like you can figure out what this is. They say they have stylized some armor pieces to resemble Sly Cooper and his aesthetic. I feel like they could have done a better job with the resemblance. If you just see this one out in the wild, you might not think Sly Cooper, but it is his colors, so they accomplished what they were going for. These gear pieces are scattered throughout the map, and will take some serious hunting down to get them all. Since I was dumb and 100%ed the game without needing to, I had all but one of the gear pieces I needed by the time I completed everything and just had to run and grab the last thing, which was this armor die from the merchant. The pieces you'll need are the Sly Tanuki sword kit that you can get from a Pillar of Honor, the Crooked Kama headband from this tower, Gosaku's armor from the Mythical Tale, the ocean die I mentioned earlier, and the Thief's Wrap mask, which you can get from a gift altar. And if you've been grabbing all the gifts regularly, you would have gotten the gifted trophy. Once you have all of these pieces, just equip them and you'll get the trophy. I've already told you how much I like the game. Ghost of Tsushima really shows you why PlayStation is at the top of the game when it comes to their first-party exclusives. They're very innovative in their attempt at merging gameplay with film-level story elements and continue to improve upon it with each iteration. The gameplay strikes a remarkable balance between skill and flashy mechanics. If you're struggling, you always have these artful moves that can help you kill a number of enemies within seconds to even the odds. If you aren't one for showing off, you can just get down and dirty and slaughter each one of them with nothing but your sword. If you want it, this game has it. It's gonna be a lot for Yotei to live up to, and I'm eager to see if it can not only match this game, but improve upon it. If any game deserves the title of a great game, it's this one. Now, while Tsushima blew me away, did the trophy list do the same, or did it leave me grounded? As I said earlier, in my attempt to get the platinum, I accidentally 100%ed this game, and while I had some play sessions that was just me throwing on the guiding wind and following it while a TV show was on in the background, I can't say I had a bad time with it. The trophies incentivized me to seek out everything this game had to offer. I left no stone unturned, and I had a blast doing so. A solid trophy list is one that covers everything you're intending to do with a game, and encourages you to take in everything the game is offering you. While it exceeds in this, it does have a couple of drawbacks. Almost forcing you to look up a guide to get a trophy is always something I have issue with. I want the trophy hunting experience to be almost as seamless as possible, and to have 2 random trophies which force me to break out my phone to get is just a little disheartening. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this next point, and I understand that this is just a me thing, but I always like when a trophy list has a difficulty related trophy on there. Something that just encourages you to step out of your wheelhouse a bit. This might be because I usually like to play on hard, but I've had some great experiences in games because it makes me play on a higher difficulty than I would have without it. It's why I started playing games on hard. I found out it's usually more enjoyable for me that way, and it does suck a little bit that there's nothing asking me to put a little more effort into learning the game's mechanics like a difficulty trophy. It's probably just because I don't like it when a trophy list is too easy. I like a little bit of a challenge, and this one really doesn't provide that. I'd say this is a fairly average trophy list. It's not great, it's not bad. If you're playing the game, there's no reason for you not to go for it. It can be enjoyed by both casual players and die-hard trophy hunters. I know a lot of you probably don't like my last point being faceted into how good a trophy list is, and I want to hear your opinion on why. Do you agree with my rating, or do you think it's better off not having a difficulty trophy? Also, what do you think of the game? I know a lot of people are die-hard for Jin to the point to where they don't like Yotei having a new protagonist. Do you think the story should have stuck with Jin, or do you think his story is over? Personally, I think his story is all said and done. Once the Mongol invasion stops, he has no real need or desire to continue his fight. Sure, the Shogun might be sending samurai after him, but the samurai aren't his personal enemy. He doesn't want to go after them and kill them, and I doubt he'll just take up arms against them in self-defense. He didn't in this game. What do you guys think about that perspective? Are there any other comment-based questions I can ask here? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys as the next legend. Take care.